Welcome! Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a hidden rule that pretty much runs our entire digital world. It's the magic trick that lets the smooth, continuous sound of my voice get perfectly captured and crammed inside a digital file. So, how on earth is that possible? Let's dive in. I mean, really think about that for a second. An analog sound wave, in theory, has an infinite number of points. A digital file? It has a very finite amount of space. So how do you fit an infinite thing into a finite box without just throwing most of it away? That's the exact puzzle we're going to solve.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start by looking at two totally different ways of seeing time. Then we'll uncover the secret rule that connects them. We'll also see what happens when that rule gets broken. It gets weird. Then we'll look at how it powers our everyday tech. And finally, we'll take a peek at the future of all this.
To really get our heads around this puzzle, we first have to understand that there are two fundamentally different ways to look at the world. Two different ways to think about the flow of time itself.
The best way to picture this is with an analogy. Think of continuous time as a perfectly smooth ramp. You can stand anywhere on it. It's a smooth, unbroken flow. That's the analog world. Now, discrete time, that's like a staircase. You're either on one step or you're on the next. There's absolutely nothing in between. That's the digital world.
The world we actually experience, physically, is continuous. Picture the smooth, sweeping second hand on an old analog clock. Between any two instants, no matter how close together, there's always another instant. Real-world signals like sound, temperature, pressure, they're all naturally continuous like this.
On the other hand, you've got discrete time. It moves in these distinct, separate jumps. A digital clock doesn't flow smoothly from 10:37 to 10:38. Nope, it just is 10:37, and then, bam, it's 10:38. This is the world of measurement, of taking snapshots at specific moments, like when we report GDP every quarter.
Okay, so we've got these two separate worlds, the smooth analog ramp and the choppy digital staircase. The billion-dollar question is, how do you build a bridge between them? A bridge that lets you cross over without losing a single piece of information. Well, the answer lies in what I'm calling the perfect snapshot rule.
And this bridge has a name. It's a really beautiful piece of mathematics called the Nyquist-Shannon sampling theorem. Named for pioneers like Harry Nyquist and the legendary Claude Shannon, this theorem is basically the hero of our story. It lays out the exact rules for perfectly capturing a continuous signal using nothing but discrete snapshots.
Now here's the core idea in Claude Shannon's own words. It sounds a little dense, but the concept is actually incredibly elegant. All it's saying is that if your signal has some highest frequency, we'll call it B, you can capture it perfectly. You just have to take snapshots or samples at a certain rate. So what's that magic rate?
It really boils down to a simple four-step recipe. First, you just have to figure out the highest note, or frequency, in your signal. Let's call it B. Step 2, you have to take your snapshots at a rate that is more than double that highest frequency. And if you do that, this is the amazing part, those simple, discrete samples now contain all the information from the original, smooth signal. Nothing is lost. Which means, step 4, you can perfectly rebuild the original. It's incredible.
This is it. This is the secret sauce. Greater than 2B. Your sampling rate has to be strictly faster than twice the highest frequency in your signal. That magic number is called the Nyquist rate. As long as you stay above that threshold, you've built a flawless bridge from the analog world to the digital one. No information gets left behind, period.
But what happens if you break the rule? What if you get greedy and try to sample a little too slowly? Well, that's when our story gets a villain, and things start to go wrong.
This scary thing is called aliasing. And what it means is that when you sample too slowly, high frequencies in your original signal start to wear a disguise. They masquerade as lower frequencies that were never even there to begin with. These are like imposter frequencies. And the result is distortion, because two totally different sounds can end up creating the exact same digital file.
To get a little technical for a second, any frequency in your original signal that's higher than half your sampling rate becomes completely indistinguishable from some other lower frequency. It becomes an alias. The digital system literally cannot tell the difference, and it ends up rebuilding the wrong thing.
And I promise you, you've seen this happen. Ever take a digital photo of someone wearing a finely striped shirt, and on the screen you see these weird wavy patterns that weren't there in real life? Bingo. That's aliasing. The fine stripes are a high frequency, and the camera's sensor didn't sample them fast enough, creating a fake lower frequency pattern.
Okay, so we know the rule, and we know the penalty for breaking it. But this isn't just some abstract theory. This rule is the quiet, invisible engine that powers so much of our modern lives.
I mean, the Nyquist-Shannon theorem is absolutely everywhere. It's the reason CDs are sampled at 44.1 kHz because human hearing tops out around 20 kHz, and 44.1 is safely more than double that. It's in every digital camera you own, every MRI and CT scanner at the hospital, and it's the backbone of our entire global telecommunications network.
So how do engineers make sure this works perfectly every time? Well, they kind of cheat a little. Before any signal ever gets sampled, it's first passed through a physical device called an anti-aliasing filter. And all this filter does is chop off any frequencies that are too high to be captured properly, basically guaranteeing the Nyquist level is always met. It's a clever, practical solution.
So, problem solved, right? The story's over? Well, for a huge range of signals, yeah. But the classic theorem works best when things are pretty regular. What happens when the signals themselves are messy and unpredictable? That's where we hit the frontier of what's possible.
You see, the classic theorem is a rock star for signals with a steady beat. But what about signals that are repetitive but not perfectly regular? Think about the rhythm of someone walking. It naturally speeds up and slows down. Or think about a car's wheel. Its rotation speed changes all the time. How do you deal with those? The technical name for this problem is phase variation. As that person's walk speeds up or slows down, the underlying signal gets stretched and squished in time. And this distortion makes it almost impossible to analyze with the old methods, because they're looking for a constant frequency that just doesn't exist.
And this is where the really cool, cutting-edge research is happening. The solution is to stop caring so much about the timing, and instead to focus only on the signal's essential shape or form. Researchers are building new mathematical tools that can capture this pure shape, the pattern of peaks and valleys, while completely ignoring how fast or slow it happened. It's like describing a mountain range by its silhouette, not by how fast you drove past it.
So, the original Nyquist-Shannon theorem gave us this perfect lens to see signals moving through time. But now, we're on the verge of learning how to see a signal's true underlying shape, completely separate from the distortions of time. And that leaves us with a really exciting question. If we can start doing that, what other hidden patterns in our incredibly complex world, from biology to finance, are we just about to discover? Thanks for watching.